When the previous generation Everest first came out 6-7 years ago, I was a big fan of it. In fact, I was such a big fan that I was able to convince my dad to pick one up, and pick one up he did. We got the titanium 4x2 version, and even till this day, I still drive that car. It truly is an impressive car. But with this refresh of the next-gen Ford Everest in this top-of-the-line titanium plus bi-turbo 4x4 trim, it got even better. So today I'm going to show you around this car, and I'm also going to give it a test drive, so stay tuned. Do you want to upgrade those really old and dim headlights that you have in your car? Well, today's your lucky day, because today's video sponsor is ZeroStainAutomotive.com. ZeroStainAutomotive.com is a website that sells car parts and accessories, including these Pegasus Lights Attack V2 LED headlamps. And today they are giving away 5 of these to our lucky viewers. All you have to do to join is to comment down below which car you will put these beautiful and bright LED headlamps on. And then after that, you have to like our page on Facebook, Liong Cars, and send us a private message telling us that you have already commented in our video. And just like that, you'll be eligible for a raffle entry. We will be announcing the winners very soon, so make sure that you do stay tuned to our Facebook page. So quick lesson first, why is this called the next gen Everest instead of the all-new Everest? That's because this new Everest is still based on a very similar platform as before, but they did revamp and tweak it a little bit, made it a bit better. Hence, this is the T6.2 instead of just the T6 platform. Anyway, styling-wise, you can kind of tell that this is still rather similar to the previous generation Everest. However, they kind of streamlined it a little bit, removed some of the curves to make it look a little bit more modern. I mean, take a look at this front end right here. It's a bit more flat. The grille is bigger than ever. You also have these really nice C-clamp LED headlights, which are matrix with advanced front lighting systems, and these are adaptive too. Pretty nice. Definitely will be iconic and timeless in the future. And you even have LED fog lights down below. Now on the side, yes, it still kind of looks a bit similar, but you'll notice that it's a little bit more planted looking. It's a little bit more muscular. That's because despite this being, once again, the T6 platform or the T6.2, they did increase your wheelbase as well as your track by 2 inches each, and honestly translated to a really good look right here. You do get a ground clearance of 223 millimeters, and you still get the same wading depth at 800 millimeters. And we were able to try this out, putting it through like these demonstrative floods when this car was first released. If you're interested in seeing that video, I'll put it up here. Anyway, moving on, you get still 20-inch rims. These are pretty big, but it really barely affects the ride with the car. It still is pretty good. You have more of these fake vents right here. You get your titanium badge, lots of chrome on your door handles as well as on your mirrors. And speaking of these mirrors, they are about as big as before, which had always been a good thing, but they are now kind of frameless looking, which gives you a better view out. And it even comes with a blind spot monitoring system right there. And you even get cameras under that, including a puddle lamp, which is pretty bright. Now for unlocking this car, yes, you have the normal smart keyless entry, but Ford has just released their Ford Pass app, and right here you can remotely lock and unlock your car, and you can even start it, and you can even turn on the horn and the lights. It really is pretty cool, all from your phone. Very easy to use. Here at the back, it's the same thing. Whereas the previous generation Everest was incredibly rounded with just 2 massive dents on either side, this is just a lot more modern looking. That car looked amazing 7 years ago, but now, not so much. This one though, absolutely stunning, including this Everest logo, which is under some piece of plastic or glass. I'm not too sure, but it's a one-piece glass design that even encompasses and covers these tail lamps right here, which look like claws. It's very Peugeot-like, actually. Now, you do also get a reverse camera right here, which can be stitched with your 360-degree view camera, and also a lot of parking sensors. Pretty good for your active park assist, your auto park function. Open up this power tailgate, and what you'll be surprised to see is that that's not the only thing powered right here, because these rear seats, your 6th and 7th seat for this 7-seater vehicle, can also be electrically folded just by pressing these 2 buttons on either sides. And they don't only fold down electrically, they can also come up electrically with just a push of a button. Other things right here include this tiny false floor, as well as a 12-volt outlet inside there. Now, let's open up the hood, and wow, this is pretty heavy, built for tough indeed. And right here, you have a, I'm too short for Fords. Right here, you have a 2-liter bi-turbo diesel engine pumping out 210 horsepower and 500 newton meters of torque. Definitely best in its class, and it is also mated to a 10-speed automatic transmission. Now, before we say anything else, yes, this is the same 10-speed as before, but Ford has made sure to iron out all of its existing issues. So this is hopefully right now a bulletproof transmission. As for fuel economy, due to the size of this car and all the power it pumps out, it's not exactly the best, but you can still get a respectable 7 kilometers per liter inside the city, and on the highway you're looking at around 12.2 kilometers per liter. Here inside the interior, we first check the door hood because it is a Ford after all, and it sounds pretty amazing. The interior of the Everest is truly great, even for a car of this class or even from one class above it, because the materials, the tech, the ergonomics, everything is just perfect. Let's start off with the dashboard right here. In the previous generation Everest, you did get a fully leather dashboard. This one, they made away with that and gave you hard touch plastics. However, the closer parts to you where you can actually touch it, it's still leather covered, but yeah, it's a little bit thin. Nonetheless, here on the side, the leather soft touchness right here is just extremely thick, including the center armrest. Also, here on the side, you do have these pretty interesting door handles, which you simply squeeze to open the door. However, that does reduce your storage space a little bit. They did give you extra cup holders right now, so you get these cup holders on the side now, as well as 2 here by the middle, and you even get a French fries holder. Yes, I kid you not, there is a logo of a French fry cup right there. So now the screens in the car, there's an abundance of it, so you get twin 12-inch screens right here. You get a digital instrument cluster with amazing graphics, and it's also really responsive. And towards the center, you have this vertical Tesla-like screen, which shows you so much things. So you get your wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. You also get your 360-degree camera right there, your off-road camera. You can also set your auto hold function right there. Everything truly is controlled by this screen right here. And you can even sketch right here. You can doodle. So just imagine how happy the very mature motoring media was on the first day of the launch of this car, because you can draw this and this, and yeah, these are cherries, by the way. So yeah, right there, you can have tons of fun with this one. Down below, you even get a wireless charging pad right here, and this shifter is pretty amazing. So it's an electronic shifter, and if you use the automatic parking function of the Everest, this will actually move by itself from reverse and into drive. And watch this. So if I put the car into neutral and I unbuckle my seatbelt, I forget to put it into park as I exit the vehicle and I open the door, this shifter right here also moves back to park immediately. It is that cool. This really is a safe car. Speaking of safety in this Everest, you also get 7 airbags, and you get an entire suite of advanced driver assistance systems. So you have your adaptive cruise control with stop and go function, autonomous emergency braking with pedestrian detection. You even get evasive steer assist, hill hold, hill start assist, hill descent control, everything. And also an electronic rear locking differential. Now for the other things inside this cabin, another extra cubby space right here would be this glove box that does pop out, and also this lower regular glove box. Plus you even have storage compartments on the side for some jugs. Finally, the seats. They're extremely comfortable. They're 8-way power adjustable with lumbar support, not just for the driver's side, but also for the passenger side. This is incredibly rare for any car, especially for a car in this segment. Other features right here do include this panoramic sunroof and an astounding 8-speaker sound system. Now here at the back, we also check the door. And that sounds even better than the front. It truly sounds pretty good. Now here in the second row, they kind of improved on your legroom right here. So you have these cutouts which are even deeper than before, and there really is a lot of legroom right here. Your headroom is also pretty good despite having this panoramic sunroof, which does eat into headroom a little bit. But what I complain about a little bit right here at the back is that they removed the grab handle here by the middle. So while ingress towards the second row seats is easy because of this grab handle right here, if you are going off-roading or you're in pretty bad roads, you have nothing to grab on. However, you do get an air vent in place of that. As for your toys, you do have this center armrest right here with 2 cup holders. You can also adjust your fan speeds for your AC system right here. You got a USB-A port, USB-C port, as well as a household 230-volt outlet. Now, you can also seat 3 people back here because the Everest does feel pretty wide, at least for its class, but it still is best reserved for 2 people. One more thing that I kind of am not too fond about with these back seats though, is that compared to the previous generation Everest, while these are comfortable as is, I find them to be a little bit firmer than before. So if you're into really soft seats, maybe this is not the car for you. You can, however, recline these though, and they go pretty far back. Ingress to the third row is also pretty easy because instead of having a complicated tumbling mechanism, you only have this simple sliding mechanism. But when you are seated back here, well, you barely have any leg room left. You only have about an inch and a half or so, and this is if you're only fun size at 5'6". If you're a bit taller, this place is definitely not for you unless the second row passengers are willing to slide their seats forward, which by the way they can. Headroom is okay maybe until 5'8". And unfortunately though, if you look down here, while it is okay in terms of feet room for the driver's side passenger because you can just slide around your feet right here, this center rail right here doesn't really let the passenger side passenger put his feet anywhere. So he can put his right feet under this, but this one has to get chopped off. So driving the next gen Everest is just like the rest of the car, as well as the previous generation Everest when it was first launched, is truly not a disappointment at all. When it comes to power, handling, suspension, refinement even, this car is just excellent. Let's start off with power. 210 horsepower and 500 newton meters. Torque is best in class, and you can really feel it when you drive this because you never find yourself ever lacking in power. I mean, if you want to overtake anyone, this car can easily do it. However, there seems to be a little bit of a delay when you mash the throttle down. Probably the 10-speed transmission since it has to hunt for a gear, but with more driving of this car, really doesn't hunt for a gear. So later on, I figured out that there seems to be a big amount of turbo lag with this one. And that kind of does make sense because the older Everest with their 2.2 and their 3.2 liter engines probably had a little bit less turbo lag because the engine in itself already had enough juice to kind of propel you a bit. But this one with its small displacement, yeah, just watch out for the turbo lag. Plan your overtakes properly. Next up, the comfort. Easily once again beats out all the competition. This car right here doesn't feel like a 7-seater PPV of this segment. It feels like it can easily compete with the cars from a segment above. So if we, for example, think even of the Ford Explorer or the Toyota Land Cruiser Prado, man, this car right here is as comfortable as those cars. And I'm not just talking about on the city streets with your bumps and potholes, which by the way, it's a little bit firm, but it really doesn't hurt and it's still pretty comfortable. But also when you are traveling on the highway, this car also performs as an excellent highway cruiser because even if you are going slightly above the speed limit, which you shouldn't do by the way, it still is incredibly quiet. There's really not that much wind noise or tire noise that enters the cabin, but for some odd reason, when you do honk the horn, you hear it pretty loud, which is kind of weird because usually if a car has insane amounts of noise insulation inside the cabin, you're barely gonna feel the horn, you're barely gonna hear the horn. But in this one, yeah, you do hear the horn. Also, the previous generation Everest was extremely quiet and it had a active noise canceling, but they say that for this new Everest right here, they didn't need it anymore. So they made do with the active noise canceling, and this is all just passive noise insulation. It truly is excellent. Steering wise, a point of concern with the previous Everest was it's a little bit too light, and right here it's also a little bit too light, but they did improve on the feel of it. What do I mean by that? Okay, so if you want to point the car in a particular direction, yeah, it's not the most direct out there. It'll comply, but when it comes to feedback, it kind of tells you a little bit more compared to the previous generation where your front tires are pointing, which is always a welcome addition. And if you do push this car over corners, for its class, once again, this suspension, despite being the most comfortable, still happily complies with just minimal body roll. And then here on the highway too, the advanced driver assistance system of the next gen Everest is also excellent, because aside from your usual adaptive cruise control, lane departure warning and all that, this one even comes with active lane centering. So I can take my hands off of the wheel for a couple of seconds and the car will pretty much drive itself. And this doesn't only work on straights, even on curves here on the Skyway, it will also follow that curve. It really is amazing. And I know in a lot of cars you can be like, yeah, you know, a lot of cars have this, but you have to keep touching the wheel. Yes, it is the same right here, but it's a little bit longer. The intervals between the car asking you to touch the wheel is a little bit longer, so it makes for a very relaxing driving experience. And remember that fries holder I told you about? So right now I can take my hands off of the wheel, and the ergonomic design with this fries holder lets me just get a fry and just eat it. Perfect for long, really long road trips. The next gen Ford Everest can also automatically park itself, and it is also pretty cool because the gear selector will move by itself and the steering wheel will move by itself, and you don't even need to step on the throttle or the brake anymore, unlike some of the older cars with a similar function. Also, it can do it parallel and perpendicular, so no matter the parking situation, your next gen Ford Everest Titanium 4x4 bi-turbo has got you covered in case the car is a little bit too big for you to handle. So the Ford Everest in this top-of-the-line Titanium Plus bi-turbo 4x4 trim is truly an excellent vehicle. But what about its pricing? This car right here is priced at 2.495 million pesos. I know it's a little bit steep, but if you compare it to some of its competitors which offer way less in terms of features and comfort and power, and we can go on and on forever, this just absolutely makes sense right now. And Ford even upped the warranty on these cars from 3 years to now a staggering 5 years. So if you do ask me if this car is great value or excellent value, I'd probably tell you that it is excellent value.